Hey everybody, this is Andy Hall, and you are watching Best Advice Ever, the show where people come on and talk about the best advice they ever got. Right now, right here, today, we have Ken Reid, funny guy from Boston. He was on Naked Diner Podcast number 101, and he has a great podcast, TV Guidance Counselor. You know, I was watching The Lost Boys the other day.
Oh, nice.
It turns out I don't need a TV if I have a TV guide.
It's very true. Yeah, that was what I conceived of first. It was the Television Addict song and that clip, and then I went, this is the opening of my podcast. Now I have to do it.
Now you have to do it. Very good. Pure magic. Now, how many episodes have you done?
450, I think.
Yeah, you're a machine, dude. You
yeah. Some people would say that. I would say obsessive.
Right. So, anyone who hasn't listened to Ken's podcast, it's a must listen to. As encyclopedic knowledge of television.
I try. Well, actually, I didn't try. It's just what my brain is filled with when I could have done so many better things with that space.
Oh, yeah, right. I totally understand that. I have vast fields of knowledge that are completely unusable or irrelevant. The most important thing is that they don't make me any money. That's the thing, Ken.
That's the thing. Well, and sometimes, in fact, they make you lose money.
Yes, indeed. Funny how that works out.
Yes.
No one tells you that in school, that the little light that you're holding that's in your heart, that's going to cause you to be in the lowest income bracket possible.
Financial ruin.
Woo! Okay, well, now that we've gotten off to a very peppy and positive start, let's talk about the best advice you ever got.
The best advice I ever got, weirdly, is around working. And when I was in college, I worked at WBZ TV4 here in the Boston area.
Sure.
And I was in audience services and general services, which is basically operations. And my manager, who was the what would his name be? I guess he would be the general or the COO, corporate operating officer, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, so the facilities manager had been there forever. Amazing guy. He's the kind of guy that if he got jury duty, he would be excited about it and would really hope he got to be the foreman.
Gotcha.
And he gave me two pieces of advice. Both were good, but one I think was better than the other. The first one was never, ever, ever go into sales. And the second one, and this is the one that I hold near and dear to my heart and has never done me wrong, is always take lunch. And he basically said, there's nothing you'll get done in that hour that you couldn't get done after that hour, and taking that, or half hour, whatever it is, but taking that break, you're going to be more efficient and you're going to do a better job for the afternoon than if you just work through the lunch. It's a false economy to not take that break every day.
And you know what?
He's right.
Yeah, and the data really does support that. I read a couple of different articles about some recent studies that show that if you take a break during lunch and just go outside or talk to people that you like, go for a walk, your productivity increases.
Yeah, you get more done than you would have if you worked for that extra hour. And I worked places after that where they would give me crap about it. Like I remember the job I had immediately after that, my boss came up to me and said, we noticed that you take lunch every day. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, well, we all work through our lunch. And I literally went, well, that sucks. It was just like, maybe you shouldn't do that. And they were not happy about me taking that break every day. But I've done it every job I've ever had, and it's never been a problem. There's nothing that I didn't get done. And I was like, damn it, if I had just taken that hour in the middle of the day, I wouldn't be here till 9 o'clock. And the people that I know that work through lunch are also the people that usually are in the office till like 7, 8 o'clock. So I think they're just bad at time management.
They're just bad at what they do. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, and it also works as like a little reward during the day. You're like, oh, if I get all my morning stuff done, I take my break, and then, I have a fresh start for the rest of the day.
Now, because you're in entertainment, do you ever find that these lunches are like working lunches? Is that a thing? Is that something that you ascribe to? Like
let's have a lunch meeting?
Yeah, like a lunch meeting or something.
No. I mean, I work a day job.
Okay, yeah.
So I always I always take lunch by myself. I'm not like super social at work,
Sure.
but yeah, when I'm in LA, I guess I do if I'm gonna meet up with somebody to talk about like something creative or some project. Yeah, like sometimes it'll be over food, but I don't think it's at the expense of my lunch or my lunch time.
Right. Right. So how did he come up to this conclusion about lunch, the COO? Did
I
did he
don't
say?
know actually. He was full of wisdom. Like he'd been there forever. Like another thing he would do is one of the things we had to do was go on messenger runs. This is pre really internet. So
Yes.
there was 3 messenger runs a day. They'd be like, "Oh, go get the tape of this commercial," because they couldn't email it. And
Sure.
so we also didn't have Google Maps, so you had to get a map book out and plot
Uh,
out your route. And so if you ever got lost or were late, you would call him and be like, "I'm lost," and he would go, "I don't understand how that happened." And you're like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Didn't you plan the route out?" And you're like, "Yes." And he goes, "Well, you didn't if you're lost." So it would kind of be like always plan the thing out, and then he would forgive anything once, any mistake once, or you did something wrong once, but you never did it again. And it wasn't like a angry thing, like, "You better not do that again." It was kind of like, "Well, now you know, and now I didn't tell you before, and now you know, so don't do that again." Like he's very sort of simple wisdom.
sure. Sure. Well, I don't know how you could have gotten lost in Boston since it's all on a grid.
It's totally grid. It's definitely not designed based around cow paths.
No. No.
Washington Street definitely doesn't intersect with itself at some point. It's completely logical.
So I'm curious about not going into sales, which I could definitely see. But did he give any reason, or did he have any experience in sales?
He didn't. I think it was more from just observing so many people get chewed up and spit out in
Oh
the
yeah.
churn of sales. Because the way that, and I don't know if it still works this way, but the way that media sales especially worked at that time was you'd have 2 or 3 sort of old men who had worked there forever and did all the account management. And then they'd get hungry sort of freshmen, right out of college people. They'd go lease a car. They'd spend some money on some suits so they look good, and they do all this. They bust their ass. They'd bring in 10 new clients. 9 of them would go south. 1 would stay on, and then this person would either quit or be fired, and that 1 would then be absorbed by the people that had been there forever. So it was a way to sort of get a net gain for the people that were there forever. And a lot of people ended up leaving that job owing the company money because for radio and TV sales, you buy, say I buy 2 weeks worth of ads. And after the first week, if I didn't get the ratings that you promised me, I pull back the ad and you owe me that money back. So a lot of times these people would get their commission, they'd spend it, but then they'd owe part of it back. So they'd leave the company now with like a lease car they don't need. They'd owe money. And the one account they got that was good isn't theirs anymore. It's sort of absorbed into the organization. So it was just built into the business model of sort of chewing up and spitting out hardworking, enthusiastic young people.
That is, I thought Glenn Ross gave a dark picture of sales, but no, sir, no,
Yep.
that's a whole movie right there,
Yeah.
or dysfunctional TV show. I mean, as the case might be.
The other great thing he said to me was because he was in charge of the building, he
Mhm.
had cameras, and his office had just like a bank of monitors.
Yeah,
And he wasn't unfunny, but he was very serious generally.
sure.
And he, just apropos of nothing, went, "A lot of people seem to act like they don't know I can see everything." And I didn't ask for any, clarification or further details, but he goes, "They do a lot of things that people normally wouldn't do if they knew people were watching them." And it's a mystery to me to this day. I mean, I have some theories, obviously.
Oh, right, right. Well, that is some really good advice, sir, and a couple of really good stories too from the dysfunctional world of sales in radio back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what kind of projects are you working on now?
Still doing the show. haven't missed a week in 6 years, so pumping those out. I was in Petey. Stop. That's my dog. He's mad at me. I had just got back from Los Angeles, so I got a bunch of episodes that I'm sort of sorting through there. This week I'm going to Reno. Never been to Nevada. I'll be doing Reno Pop Culture Con there, which is run by the same people that do Denver. This is the first time they've done it, so that'll be exciting. I'll have some episodes from that. Doing a little weekend of shows with Todd Barry in a couple weeks in New England. And I think that's it for the foreseeable future.
It sounds like very.
Yeah, decent.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on The Best Advice Ever. Where can people find you online?
I'm at iCanReid, reid.com, tvguidancecounselor.com. I'm at Kenneth W. Reid on social media, or TV Guidance on all the social media.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again, man, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, take care.